And we're live, ladies and gentlemen, back another Monday, another dreary day, some might say. I mean, it depends how you kind of want to look at the perspective on the market. I'm doing fine because a lot of you guys sold all of your product to me in a panic, which I get it. I'm glad you guys listened to the advice I gave you last stream. Sadly, wasn't able to be there and give an obituary for a lot of you guys that did end it, but that's okay because this week we're going to basically say the exact same thing and you're still going to click and watch the video. But that's what it's all about in this hobby, Alex, is just letting the people know that you missed the boat. Prices are going to keep going up and nothing's ever going to change apparently. But before we jump into it, make sure you leave a like, comment down below, subscribe. Really helps out the YouTube channel. And of course, as always, check out Alex. Link is down in the description below to see his channel and content. How are we feeling, Mr. Alex?
Dude, I love to see the I love to see the the transformation across time in this hobby because when you start out, when I started out at least, it was like you get laughed at. You just get like mocked and ridiculed. You're so stupid. And even at the start of this boom, right? Like you had all like the I don't even know what to call them, like drama channels, like negative channels, like bearish channels, whatever they are. All just like saying the same thing, like, no way this lasts. They're going to reprint it into the ground. I'm going to wait. All these people buying right now are Timmies. They're so stupid. And then, I held my ground and just continued the same exact advice the whole way through. And now that we're still going and it looks like there's no end in sight, now all the rhetoric is changing to anger. No one now is saying that things are going to go down. Now they're just angry. Well, people are just so stupid. They need to stop buying it. It's their fault the prices are high. Stop buying from scalpers. Stop collecting this stuff. And it's just like, it's funny to see the progression of how the emotions change. And we just stay the same. We just stay the same. I keep preaching the same exact thing. I keep doing the same exact thing. Everyone's continued to be successful that follows it. And it's a good place to be, man. It's fun.
I mean, my philosophy has always been the trend is your friend until the end of the trend. And right now we are continuing the same trend we have been for the past 6 to 8 months now, which is just straight up. And it's crazy to see because realistically, like, I couldn't have ever predicted that Prismatic not Prismatic, that 151 Pokemon Center ETBs would be at 1,000. I could never predicted that Paldea Evolved would be pushing close to 500 with the, booster boxes. Like there's so many items that I'm looking at and I'm saying, wow, like these prices are insane. Like I don't think it's unrealistic to say at this point, Lost Origin could go to 1,000 a box. Or Evolving Skies could go to 3,500 by end of year. Like these are things where you look at it and you say like, this feels crazy to say, but like I kind of jokingly said at the start of the video, like we're going to talk about the same thing this week as we did last week, but ultimately it's still different because prices are different from last week as they are this week because they just won't stop climbing.
Yeah. And I mean, the Wall Street Journal article coming out about Pokemon is like another catalyst. I think what's happening is we just keep having catalyst after catalyst after catalyst for the continuance of this booming market. And I don't think people are really like grasping it, 151 really brought tons of people back in the hobby. Right. And then you just had things just naturally start to pick up around Stellar Crown Surging Sparks time. And then Deaths and Rivals had everyone in a frenzy. Right. I mean, Prismatic was a huge deal with the evolutions. Now everyone's about this mega stuff. Like the Phantasmal Flames is everybody like, foaming at the mouth for it. I know the PC dropped today. A lot of people got some, but like it just seems like it's just catalyst after catalyst. And then we got 30th anniversary. Like Phantasmal Flames is probably going to take us into the end of the year. Then next year we have 30th anniversary. In April, we'll have the rotation days for things to go out of print, which will probably lead to a run, especially in the early Scarlet Violet. There's too much constantly happening to slow down, in my opinion.
Yeah, it definitely feels like right now, we're in euphoria. Like we looked at the emotional chart and of like what a market cycle looks like.
By the way, we called that extremely right. People in the chat, I remember that video. They were thinking like me and you were crazy for saying we're not at the top. And I remember we were both saying we were at the stage before things really spiked. And we got that extremely right because things have went up so much more from when that video was filmed.
Yeah, no, euphoria is, I mean, it's in full effect and like you can kind of feel it, right? Like what true euphoria is it's now this sentimental feeling of like, oh my God, I need to just get in now because I'm going to miss the boat. And I feel like before there was definitely a lot of sentiment of how long is this going to last for? And now it's a feeling of, well, I don't know anymore, so I might as well get in and not have to play that game. And to be quite honest with you, like we're currently in September and we haven't heard any sort of real news yet of major reprints for Journey, for Destin, for literally just about anything other than Prismatic. Like, if anything, we're hearing more news about product delays than we are about more product coming. So it's really crazy to kind of see what's happening. I mean, you saw it in the thumbnail. We can talk about it a little bit briefly.
Tell 'em.
I just got word, obviously, that distros are going to be delaying some of the ETBs. I'll see what that's going to look like in terms of how we're going to allocate that in the wholesale program. I'll make that announcement and talk with my guy Alfred about that later. But yeah, I mean the split waves are going to be interesting to see how that's going to manage, because originally we just thought it was going to be, you know, booster boxes, and then of course now there's rumors or word coming out that Phantasma is also going to be a split wave set. Like it's wild, man.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
obviously, guys, I'm gonna keep harping on this. I'm gonna keep saying it so many times till everyone's like so sick of hearing me say it. Prismatic Evolutions is the most obvious play in the market right now. To put this into perspective, guys, anywhere near this amount of printing in 2022 or 2023 with any set, I don't care if it's Evolving Skies, Crown Zenith, Fusion Strike, pick one, it would have crushed it into like $4 a pack or less. Like, I don't think people really grasp what has happened. They reprinted the bundles. They dropped Sam's Club bundles with ETBs and bundles. They dropped Costco bundles. They made the Lucario box. They put out the EV pouches. They put out the SPCs. They did that restock on PC ETBs. Now we have mini tins coming out. They have dumped so much Prismatic Evolutions product, like hundreds of thousands of boxes. It's still going up. The booster bundles are headed back up. The ETBs are headed back up. The PC ETBs are headed back up. The SPCs are headed up. The pack price is headed back up. If you cannot cool off that set with all the printing we just had, and now they have to start printing for Destin Rivals because now it's over $400 a box. They can't even get Mega Evolutions printed on time. They're saying Phantasmal is going to have to come in waves. They're going to have to stop printing Prismatic. They have to focus on other things. When that happens, good luck. Good luck where the Prismatic goes after this.
Yeah, I have no clue. Like, I mean, most of us don't. We can only assume based off of what we're seeing hit the market, like truly what is being printed behind the scenes, what they've started on, what they're not going to print, obviously. And so it's really a guessing game at this point. But I agree with Alex's sentiment. Like, Prismatic definitely feels like the easiest, most simple play, just looking at it straight in the face if you want to buy something before it explodes. Because ultimately, I've said this before, like we've said this so many times, like low 100s just feels so cheap. It just feels so cheap, especially when you compare it to all these other specialty sets that are in the era that got printed significantly less or have had significantly more time in the market. It just feels like a no-brainer.
Yeah, and then there was that it was like a news story done. It was called like Unpacked, I believe. I think it was by like a Cincinnati news network. They interviewed PokeRev for part of it, but that was where they actually got a statement from Pokemon, and Pokemon said they are printing to max capacity right now. So not some YouTuber that you know, not some social media post, some Discord, some Reddit. Pokemon, the company themselves, said they are printing at maximum capacity. This is it.
My only question with that, though, is when they made that statement saying they're printing to max capacity, do they say that from the aspect of like they are actively printing to max capacity, or what they've put out is their max capacity? Because I feel like those two things, because they made a statement during COVID and they obviously made the statement with the Prismatic where it says we are actively printing to max capacity, but it wasn't until we saw the reprints did they actually come out with the product. So I want to make a distinction there and kind of understanding of, have we felt that yet, or is it just them letting us know that they're trying their best? Because I feel like that could be such a very PR made statement, you know?
True. Yeah, I don't have this statement in front of me, unfortunately.
Yeah. Because literally they made that over COVID, saying that like we're aware of all the shortages, we're printing max capacity, and it wasn't until 7 months after that statement that we finally got reprints.
Yeah.
So like it'd be interesting to see what that truly is going to look like. But I mean, it's just
at this point, honestly, if you're a gambling man, right? If you're a gambling man, and Scarlet Violet Era has 10 mainline sets and what is it? 5 specialties? What do we got? 151, Paldean Fates, Prismatic, Shrouded, and Black and White. So there's 15 total sets. Okay. 6 of which go out of print in 7-8 months. If you're a gambling man, I think if you bought one of every set, every box, every case, whatever it is right now, I think the odds in a year that they will or won't ever get to them, I think your odds are more in your favor that everything as a whole will be worth more than it is right now. Maybe some sets, some things get reprints here or there. Overall, I think you'd still be up. I don't think they can get to all of them, especially at a rate at enough to actually cool them off enough. And the ones they don't get to are going to continue to run. I think it's still in your favor to not sit on the sidelines, as crazy as that sounds.
Well, I mean, at least for myself, I talked to Alex about this a little bit before stream, but we're in the process of moving. We still have the old home we were renting in, and we had some of our like old inventory that we were keeping at the house and relocating it to the store. And as I was going through it, I was finding a lot of items that I was like, oh my gosh, we didn't have this accounted for, inventoried. That's nice to see. And like one of the things that I had, but I don't have it as inventory because it's part of my personal collection, was one of each Sword and Shield booster box. And like going through and like looking at all of it, I was like, oh my gosh, dude.
Sword and
It's
Shield
crazy
base,
to think
right?
just having one of each Sword and Shield booster box and how much it's worth now compared to just a year ago. Like it's really insane to witness. And of
What's
course,
the most surprising to you? Which box?
I mean, a year ago from today, for sure, still Evolving Skies.
See, I think for me, the most surprising is Sword and Shield base. Like Evolving Skies makes sense. Sword and Shield base, dude, it's over $600. Like, it's wild, dude. It's worth more than Brilliant, Chilling, Silver, Astral.
I mean, but here's the thing, Alex, that you have to understand. The reason why it doesn't make sense to me is that a year ago today, Evolving Skies was going for right around $700 a box.
Yeah.
So back then, when it was at 700, we were like, it'll be to 1,000 within like a year or maybe 6 months. So the fact that it's pushing close to 3,000 now, or it's going to hit 3,000 relatively soon. I mean, let me double check. It feels like it just goes up every single day. Let's see where it's at currently. Right now. Lowest listed is 2,700. So yeah, it's getting there. Like it's not that far off. So that's where it feels insane. Like if you had invested a year ago at $700, I mean, you would have still 4x your money. Yeah. Like off of something that, it's crazy. So that was by far what surprised me the most.
So what's your take on Mega, dude? So think about this, right? We already got waived, so we're only getting a portion of the boxes. They're split up now, I guess, between enhanced, non-enhanced. And now we're not getting the ETBs at release. Dude, the packs are going to be scarce. What do you see happening?
Well, I just want to say this. The message that I got from my distro said that we should get some on release. However, they sent me the invoice and I don't see it. So I'm still waiting for more clarification just to confirm from my other reps that we won't be getting any for the actual initial release. It's hard to say because obviously I want to be charged for it. Once I am, then I'll know for 100% certainty because the news seems to be updating so soon. But I guess, Alex, is your question more of like, what's my stance on what I think it's going to do price wise, or what's more your question, I guess, going into it more?
I mean, just what's your take on what you think is going to happen at release? Like, everyone, not everyone, but like there's a portion of people that think it's either going to go down because after release things go down. Other people think it's going to, rise and have like a boom because there's going to be so little available. Do you think, are you seeing a dip or a kind of like a rebound?
It's a great question because, right now, if you're just following the price of it currently, um, it did take a little bit of a dip. It's no longer at $300. Lowest listed is 280. So like not a huge dip, like less than 10%. So my kind of belief at this point is we obviously have pre-releases starting this Friday for a lot of shops, and you're going to start to see product hit shelves in the following Friday.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really telling what's going to be, in my personal opinion, the energy in the lead up to by the time we go to our next stream. If within the next week, when we come back on this stream and we see it back above $300, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a run up until the day of release, and then it maybe kind of go sideways, or who knows, it could continue to climb. I mean, with all the delays going on, it just feels like that's the sentiment. But at least right now, what my gut reaction is telling me is it's probably going to do something similar to what Destin did, where came out at release, dropped like, 30, $40 for a couple weeks, and then it went right back up to where it was before the actual release date, and then just kept climbing. Like, that's just what makes the most sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think packs are going to be very, very scarce. Like, I don't know. I think it's probably gonna be like almost similar to like specialty set packs. Like there's just gonna be, because there are gonna be so many people that have seen the booster box market and they're gonna want to keep a lot of that sealed. There's gonna be very little other ancillary product. There's gonna be some boxes that do get ripped. I think the pack situation is gonna be bad. I think loose packs are gonna be very expensive.
Yeah. It could definitely be one of those situations where people just see that there's not a lot of product on release and be like, oh shoot, prices might just keep going. I think a lot of this though is going to come down to the timing of when the second wave comes, because the
Which from
release.
everything we've heard was like 3-4 weeks.
What I'm hearing is that, I mean, I'm hearing from different sources, but anywhere between late September, early October from some places. Some places I've also heard say 2 weeks after release is their estimation. So, I mean, the set literally comes out on the 26th. So I don't understand how like wave 2 could be September. Like there's not a lot of time for that to even be possible. So I think the 2 weeks after release is what makes the most sense. But also at the same time, I remember during COVID, we got actual dates of when like the second waves were supposed to come. Like, all right, it's going to be the second week of June for Chilling Reign, and then it never came, or second week of July or whatever, and then it never came. It didn't come until the major reprints came. So it's hard to say definitively if that's like a hard and fast rule, because the amount of times I've had word from distro that we're going to get something at this time and then it just keeps getting pushed off is, I mean, too many times to count.
I mean, you can give your perspective from like your shop, but I just know like I always ask the guys the shop I visit the most around me, they're not seeing any type of slowdown whatsoever with any card game. We had a streamer in my Patreon live stream that we had last night, streams on TikTok, no slowdown. He said it's back to almost what it was in spring. Talked to someone today who streams on Fanatics and eBay Live. They're seeing good numbers on Fanatics eBay live streams. Obviously, I stream on YouTube. Everything's like back to very strong. We're seeing the market like high sales volume, even at these new prices on these booster boxes and single cards and PSA slabs. They're moving. I mean, I'm looking around like I can't. It's hard. Look, I would love to tell people like there's some bearish takes. There's some signs of slowdown. Maybe prices are coming down. Dude, everywhere you look, everything's just still selling at all-time high rates. Like I just don't see it slowing down. I don't see Mega Evolution slowing it down. It's not. Put it this way. People keep saying wait till a bad set comes. Dude, I'm not saying Black and White was a bad set. It's definitely not being talked about like the other sets were. People are not, rushing out to open Black and White cards, right? A lot of people have actually reverted back to opening Prismatic or Destin Rivals right now. And so like if Black and White was kind of like not as popular as they wanted it to be, and everything's still fine, and then you got Mega, then you got Phantasmal Flames, dude, none of this stuff looks like it's going to slow it down.
I mean, it's definitely difficult for me to say because not this last week, but the week prior, we were closed as a shop because of our store expansion demolition we were doing. And so I will say that this last week has definitely been slower, but that's mainly because, a lot of people, I don't know how to explain this, Alex, and I don't, you probably can't relate to this. It is so hard to coordinate with people when you're open or closed. The amount of times we have people come into our shop or try to come into our shop on Monday when we're closed, even though online it's listed we're closed, on our socials is listed we're closed. We have a thing that tells us when we're closed on the actual signage of the store, yet people still attempt to come. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is it's hard for me to fully answer that because we just got done with obviously our closure, and we had some people that for some reason thought we were still closed, even though no, we're open again. We told you the exact dates of when we were going to be closed. So we're still trying to kind of feel that right now. But I will say previous to the week of closure, I mean, we were hitting record numbers. Like it was just record after record after record each week and each month. So other than this 1 week of us dealing with our own personal, you know, issues, everything was really hot. And I will say, at least from what one of my employees has been telling me in shop, there's definitely some people that are gearing up for the double set release.
I'm gonna respond to the U131. He's banned from my channel because he just like trashes me all over online. But I want to respond to his little comment. Because he's saying you love this, that it's not slowing down, you liar. It's completely false because any streamer, anyone who has a business would tell you, you'll actually do better when things are cheaper because there's more customers that will not only be able to afford it, but also want to afford it and decide to afford it when everything's cheaper. And so for me, right, I always have to buy at market price, right? I don't have I have distributor, but I get like nothing, right? Eli knows from his program, everyone doesn't get much unless you're like a really high spender, which I'm not. And so all my product for my streams is bought second market. So it's just like if I have to pay these crazy prices, right? Obviously, I'm selling at crazy prices. So like for me, I would love if we get back to a point where we order from distributors and we can sell packs very cheap, because then guess what? Your customer base goes like this, and everyone can afford to buy packs, and you're selling more packs, and it's fantastic. And so, yeah, I mean, I think anybody in this hobby, no matter what you're doing, you run a store, you run a stream, whatever, I think everyone wants packs to be back to cheaper and widely available.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to Alex about this off stream. I make more money when product is actually cheaper because when it comes to more margin, yes, is it great to like make higher margin and do less in terms of volume? Of course, but realistically, I'm set at a cap. There's only so much I can do based on the allocations. But if I have no limitations to what I'm able to purchase and I can effectively, double, triple my volume, sure, my margins will be lower, but the amount of generated revenue that I would make would be significantly higher because of the lack of limitations I have. And then on top of that, going into the next bull market cycle, I then am being able to set myself up for success because now I've effectively, double, triple, quadrupled the amount that I had spent from the previous bull market because I had the ability to go out and purchase it. So volume is the game that started the program off to begin with. It's the game that is going to keep the program going after this, bear market or bull market cycle ends, because there's so much money to be made during bear markets because not only of the volume, but also because with distros, they do flash sale deals all the time or weekly special deals all the time that are insane, and you can make such good money off of it in volume.
Yeah, it's the reason I've always been so bullish on modern investing. Like in general, it's just like, would you rather go buy a $50,000 vintage booster box where when times get slow, like it's very hard to move, very hard to find a buyer? Or would you rather have $50,000 in modern booster boxes at $100 or $200, and then they end up rising to, $200, $300, $400 because there's so many more buyers out there. Your buyer pool is so wide that can afford $200, $300, $400 booster box, but very narrow and small that not only can afford a very expensive booster box, but even want to afford it. And same thing with packs. It's like, as these packs get up to $10, $12, $15, there's less and less people who can afford to order them and order a very good amount of them. But when they get down to like $4 or $5, well, now everyone can afford them and everyone comes to buy the pack. So it's like, it's better for everyone, better for the customers, better for the businesses, etc.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think, I think there's a lot of misinterpretation of like what sentiment we truly want for the market because of the way in which the market is currently. At least for myself, am I complaining right now about the fact that I'm literally just watching my sealed investments continue to climb? Of course not. Like I'm happy to be
Now
making
that I'm
money.
not complaining about.
I'm not complaining about, but also at the exact same time, does that necessarily mean that I wouldn't prefer to be in a separate situation because of other variables like the limitations of allocations at distro and how that's causing such a stranglehold on the overall growth of the business? Of course, like you have to get creative in all times within a market, right? In a bear market, you have to get creative on ways to sell things so you can push volume. In a bull market, you have to get creative on ways to sell things because you don't have access to products. So you're going to have to go to the secondary market and then try and find a way to move product that you're buying at a higher entry point or find other, revenue streams through other ways to make money. I mean, you're just always having to be creative in all facets of the market.
And the margins are usually always the same anyway.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
I mean, it's like, okay, would I much rather be in a bear market where my margins are 10 to 15%, or would I much rather be in a bull market where once I'm done with my allocations, I have to go to the secondary market to pick up my inventory and my margins are 10 to 15%. Yes, at least I have those initial allocation items that I'm able to obviously make profit on, whereas before I wasn't. But going back to it, there's a whole different like layer to it with the limitations of it. Not to mention too, with my wholesale program, dude, I give away quote unquote 90 to 95% of the allocation pool goes to people in the program, right? Yeah. It's so funny. Dude, you want to talk about something that's just still like the realization of it, but like I was at the bank the other day, right? And I was talking to some financial advisors because I'm just trying to plan for my future. And they were talking to me about my business and they were like, well, what do you think your business is worth? And I was like, it's really difficult for me to say because if I look at the net that I'm making, like the value of my program comes from the allocations I got, right? And so I gave them an example and I was like, all right, so here's how much I made as my business. Here's how much I could have made if I did the allocations for myself and didn't have the program. And I did the math and I would have made $600,000 more if I kept the
who told, wait, hold on though. Who told you that a long time ago?
I know. It's just like one of those things where when you do the math, you're like, oh, that's crazy. Like that's insane work, but keep chugging along, baby. So going back to it, man, I like volume more because I'm not really making a crazy amount of money because everything's going off to the program. So
one thing I wanted to ask you about is, have you been paying attention to some of like the buyout type stuff going on with the singles?
Hold on one second. I should probably clarify that 600,000. That's just for Mega. That's not this year. That was just for Mega. Yeah. So if you did the math on every set release, I should have made like $2 million, but that's cool and all. But anyway, sorry. Going back to the singles buyout, you said?
Well, yeah, I just wonder because I look at this stuff right when I'm watching all this and, it doesn't affect me, but my mind immediately goes to people like you, like card stores. It goes to like vendors at card shows, because how do you handle these massive price moves with confirmed sales when you take in trade-ins? Do you take these massive so for example, if somebody brought in an Umbreon VMAX, last week and said, hey, there's last 3 sales are 2,800, $3,000, $3,000. The lowest list is $3,000. Do you give a percentage of that? Or do you look back a few weeks and say, I'll give you an average of the last couple of weeks?
I mean, it's a great question because it's definitely discretionary. I mean, if it's a regular item, we definitely go back and we look at here's how we go about it. If it's an item that has a lot of sales volume, we go after the most recent, but it's an item that's only had a certain limited amount of sales, then we try and just take the average,
Yeah.
So average of the last 3 is what I do.
The reason I worry about that, like, dude, anyone who vends, I know we probably have a lot of vendors that watch this. Be careful right now, man. Like the way this hobby works with the recent sales thing, I mean, dude, especially when you're like in the heat of the moment vending, you're like getting out whatever app you use, Alt or whatever, and you're throwing the sales data in. It's just like, it's not that difficult for somebody to kind of put a little capital in and run up a single or run up a PSA 10 or something in the week following a collecticon or a big show. And then when they get to the show, they have a bunch of those copies, and they just kind of go around and start selling them off at 80% of the new high, when realistically it's probably still more than 100% of where it was a week ago. So just like, be careful about that, because that's definitely happening, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult because, like, at least for us as a shop, like I said before, that's kind of how we handle it. Um, I will say that we offer some of, if not the most competitive buy rates at our store, and so we do get burnt. But for
Yeah.
me, it's the cost of doing business. Like, I hate to say it that way, but like that's just kind of how it is. And we are discretionary about it though. Like, we've evolved from allowing new set releases to be purchased on day 1 to now we don't purchase any singles for at least a full month after the set release, just because of volatility. Sometimes it helps us, sometimes it hurts us, right? Wouldn't it have been great if I bought the Greninja at $100 and held on to it, but I could have never guessed that. So we very much so are just trying to ever evolve the way in which we handle our purchases. But so far, I feel like we've had a pretty good grasp on it, with the averaging, if it's not a ton of sales. But it's definitely difficult. You kind of have to bite the bullet sometimes.
Yeah, no, it's just, yeah, it's an interesting thing about it. Like I said, it doesn't affect like anything I do, but I definitely like worry for some of the people out there who do vend or do have card shops who really get kind of stuck with some of this stuff, because just like the Umbreon, I think the Umbreon, last time I checked, it was like back to like, I'll look it up right now. I think it was back to 2100. Let me check it.
Wow.
So right now, yeah, I mean, it's back to 2100, and this is from, that's 22 sale seller. Okay, so a 10,000 sale seller, 2140. So that's like a legitimate seller, been around a long time. And so literally days ago, there were sales for $3,000 on that card. And so, like, even if you paid 80% at like a collecticon or you were a vendor, you're now already down like $300 on that card from what you bought it at. And I see that happening probably more and more, especially if you're doing it with PSA 10s. Like, it's very easy with some of these cards to go buy out a good portion of the PSA 10s that, at least like periodically raise the price. And then you can get a percentage of that new price. And then, as people realize, or a YouTube video gets made about how it's so high or they all sold out, more and more people see that, and then they start listing theirs, wanting to kind of cash in, and the price competition comes back down to a price point where it probably should have been. And by that time, you already own it, and now you're screwed. So just be careful out there, guys. It happens.
Yeah. I mean, volatility it's a scary thing. Like,
Yeah.
it could be very rewarding, but also it could get you burnt really bad. I think the biggest thing that I've really like been cautious of is, I remember there's been instances where what you're saying has occurred to us. And so I'm like, I'm just going to wait for the price to go up again. And then
Mhm.
the price ends up dropping more. And then I'm like, all right, well, this sucks.
It's like when you
Yeah,
buy a stock and you like don't want to sell it. You're waiting for it to recover.
yeah,
Or
exactly.
like a
I'm
crypto,
like,
or like a
up,
meme coin. No, it's
well,
gonna pump eventually.
yeah, and the thing is though, is like, specifically within this hobby, right? It's going to go up at some point,
Yeah.
but it's just time. But as a business, you don't want to just have dead money sitting when
Right.
you could have, over that period of time, recouped your losses with gains from other areas where accumulated. So it's definitely something that you just got to bite the bullet. But before we finish up here with our conversation, Alex, I want to remind everyone to leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe. And of course, as always, we take questions. We'll start taking those questions like 5 minutes here. Make sure in all caps you put questions, follow it up with your question of what you would like us to answer in the comment section below.
Yeah. Let's do it.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I guess kind of just wrapping up the conversation here. I mean, just looking at it, the market is just continuing to climb Mega over the next week will be very much telling. My prediction is here that what's more than likely going to happen is Pokemon, if history repeats itself, is going to just continue to do multi-waves for the next, I'll say at least 3 to 4 sets is probably what's likely at this point. And then from there, we'll see if they're going to actually be able to stick to their guns on when they say the second waves are going to happen, or if they do what they did last time, which is they pushed off the second waves and then they did all the waves for everything all at once.
And that's what you think could be like a thing where it could correct things.
It's possible. That's how it happened last time. You had delays for Battle Styles Wave 3, you had delays for Chilling Reign Wave 2, and then you had delays for Evolving Skies Wave 2. And so what ended up happening is when they did the major reprints for everything, they did that on the back half of all these second waves that all got delayed. So I guess what I'm articulating here is that, like I said before, if Pokemon sticks to the second wave timelines, then, we'll just continue to play that game of, all right, well, they're just doing it in waves now, and this is just what it looks like. But if waves do get delayed, I'm not holding my breath in regards to like knowing if they're going to stick to an accurate timeline, because it always will get pushed back. I mean, there's been so many instances where that's been the case. Like Pokemon is not one to give an accurate timeline. A lot of times they will tell you one thing and then a month later we still haven't seen any product.
I mean, my opinion is worthless, but like, man, if I was Pokemon, I would just cut the sets loose at this point. I would just say, you know what, it's a lost cause, let it happen. I don't think there's any problem with playable cards right now, but I would just go kind of pick out any possible playable cards that might be expensive, reprint all those in the new set. And I would just say, all right, from here on forward, we're just going to dump all the printing capacity into each new set we release and just really just like clobber them and just let the other ones just go. Because I think they're trying to play this game of catch up, and they're failing with Prismatic Evolutions because they put so much print capacity into Prismatic. They let Destined Rivals run away like a runaway train to where I think at this point, it's impossible to really get it back down in any like major way. They're now delaying some of these new sets and having to do that because they, again, put way too much printing capacity into Prismatic and 151. And I just think at some point they're going to say, okay, we gotta just cut it. We got to move on, and we got to just make sure the new sets start getting back to a level where everyone can afford, and anything that's already out, we just got to say, see ya.
Man, it's so tough because going back to it, we don't know what they've printed currently. Like, we legitimately do not know what they're actively printing. And so for me, if I could peek back behind the curtains and see what's going on currently, that could obviously give so much more insight. But at this point, it's like, what do you tell them to cut, or what do you tell them to print based off of what they're already actively doing? Because as far as we know, they could be either just only printing Prismatic and they haven't even touched Destined, or they could be touching Destined and Journey, and that's the reason why there's been delays for these new sets, because they're trying to we have absolutely no clue. Like, all of it is just pure speculation at this point.
For sure.
All right, let's go into some questions. Question number 1 from Poke Investor. Since the release of DRI, every new collector box had 2 DRI packs inside. What if DRI reprint will be a small one because the market is flooded with DRI packs thanks to the collection boxes? What is DRI?
Destined Rivals.
That's what I thought. What does the I stand for?
I guess it's just RI Rivals. I don't know.
Is there another DR set?
I don't think so.
No, I was like, I feel like you just call it DR, but anyway, that's the point.
Good question. Oh, I mean, my take on this, dude, here's the thing. I just it's kind of like going with the trend. Like, a trend is your friend till it ends. The trend has shown us that Pokemon is not reprinting booster boxes. So if I'm looking at the trend, I have to accept that the majority of the time they're not going to. Doesn't mean they can't. Doesn't mean they're not going to. Don't operate out of that. But you have to operate out of the fact that more times than not, they're probably not going to reprint booster boxes in a major way. And likely the way they're going to get packs to the people is going to be through these Sam's Club drops, through new collection boxes, through UPCs, SPCs, through, collection boxes, tins, anything like that, right? Booster bundles is one of the biggest ones right now that they're reprinting. That is likely probably going to be how they get packs to people. And so knowing that, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying like, it doesn't mean the Destined Rivals reprint will be a small one. There might be a lot of reprints and they could be large, but the odds of having a massive booster box reprint, it just seems low compared to what's happened in this era, in my opinion. I mean,
Absolutely.
why haven't we had a freaking Paldea box massive reprint? It's $500 a box. Obsidian's what, 330, 350, like Twilight Masquerade's 320. Like, I mean, they're not reprinting any of those boxes. I mean, I don't know.
I think Pokemon is looking at it in a different lens though. And maybe this is just my belief, right? And this is just me gathering information from what they did so far in Scarlet and Violet and what they did in Sword and Shield. Within Sword and Shield, you had sets that obviously went up very aggressively, but they were at low prices for a prolonged period of time. And so because of that, how Pokemon looks at it, and they say to themselves, we could reprint these items because they're going up. However, the people that are obviously complaining about the set being too expensive, either they're new people or they should have gotten earlier when they had the opportunity when prices were lower. Yeah. And I feel like that's kind of what is going on right now with Scarlet and Violet, because you could have gotten Paldea Evolved for sub $90 for so long, like 6+ months. And so for me, I don't think they're printing it, not because they don't see the price and say, oh, it should probably be cheaper, but they're not printing it because you could have picked it up for so long. And whereas Destined Rivals is a set we haven't seen below $200.
I like that take.
And so it just makes sense to me for them to say, hey, let's focus on the sets that are coming out higher and addressing them rather than the sets that you could have bought for cheaper, but you just didn't because you were either not in the hobby or you waited or whatever, right?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah. Cool.
Singles still seem to be in a summer slump. Any guess when the next round will start? I'm guessing October.
I guess it really depends on what singles. Like some of the singles are booming.
So broad.
Yeah, I get depends on what eras, modern, vintage, what cards in general. Like I think a lot of singles are booming. I mean, alt arts are making huge moves up. VMAX V trainer galleries are making huge moves up. There's even a lot of early Scarlet Violet SIRs and even some IRs making moves up. I think a lot of the singles are doing pretty well. I'm just not looking at the same ones you are, obviously.
I mean, Gold Stars, Level X cards, like if we're talking vintage, like insane moves. Like Gold Stars, some of them went from like a couple grand to over $10,000. Like,
yeah, we had someone in my Patreon just make a massive deal, like with a bunch of Gold Stars and Shinings, like some of which he paid like a few $1,000s for, and now he's getting like $15,000, $18,000 for, and it's wild to see what happens in a year's time.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I think it depends the singles you're referencing because I don't know. It's hard to say. There's a lot of things that
like the Gold Star
right
dogs, the Gold Star legendaries have made massive moves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If a bear market happens, like maybe base set for Gen 10, how low would you expect Scarlet and Violet sealed to drop? 10 or 20% flatlined? I wasn't around for 20. So I want to make some clarifications here, drummer dude. Product just doesn't, it's not like it just drops. Like when a bear market happens, all that realistically means is that the new sets that come out, they end up coming out at a cheaper price. And then the old sets that are, of course, out of rotation, out of print, they will continue to climb, just maybe at a less parabolic rate. So, like, for example, if you looked at what happened with Sun and Moon, like Sun and Moon boxes went from like $100 all the way up to like $500 or $600, depending upon which one you're looking at. Now, most of them are, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000+ at this point, which is an insanely parabolic rate compared to the moves they made before. But that was still moves they were making during a bear market because they were out of rotation. So the only potential Scarlet and Violet adjustments that you might see during Gen 10 is hypothetically if during the time in which Gen 10 comes out, they reprint Scarlet and Violet product, which I have no clue how many sets we're going to get for Mega, so I don't know if that's likely or not. But all this to say is basically if it's out of rotation, don't expect corrections. Just expect less volatility to the upside as aggressively. And just new sets are going to be the ones that are obviously going to come out at lower prices, and then reprints will be more effective.
Yeah. Times of stagnation, much less returns. Like these 100% plus returns in a year are very, very odd. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
No, just realize this is, as much as I hate, well, I love to say it, that's why I invest in it. This is a deflationary product. Sealed product goes up over time regardless, because of the supply. Like you look at Steam Siege, you look at Crimson Invasion, you look at all these terrible sets historically that no one's liked. They're worth so much money now because they're so scarce, and scarcity will naturally, raise the prices.
And I'm a big believer in just creating your own luck. It's just like, what's happening right now, what happened back in 2021. It's just like, I was never investing in stuff hoping for something like this, right? But you were investing in it because you believed it was going to move up in some certain time frame at some normalized percentage rate, and then you got lucky that it went to the moon. But it wasn't really luck, right? It was just you preparing for it, and then it went up more than you prepared for it in a shorter time frame. And that's all that's happening right now. It's kind of like, just because I thought Paldea Evolve was going to be, X amount in a few years after it goes out of print, and it just did, and it ended up happening to do that in a year's time. It's like, yeah, I got lucky on the time frame and the price, but like it was going to happen one way or another type thing. So it's just like, I just think as long as you have that long-term mindset and you get in the right price point, you have realistic returns you're expecting. I don't think it's going to matter bull market, bear market. As long as you're doing it over time, you're going to be fine.
I've been back in the hobby since Silver. Got into seal collecting. I assume it means Silver Tempest. Unfortunately, some life things came up. I need to move some without a history of selling. How's the best to move a chunk?
Probably consignment services, depending on what prices your items are. Especially if it's, so you said sealed, so I'm guessing it's boxes or cases. Yeah, I mean, there's consignment services. There's Probstein. Also another YouTuber, The Green Shiz, Josh. He's got a consignment service, but like, yeah, I mean, you can just send it in. They sell it all for you. They take a percentage. I mean, honestly, like if it's over $1,000, things like people like Probstein are going to take less than a percentage of what it's going to take to sell it yourself. And, they do all the work for you, and it's just all you have to do is pack it up and ship it. So maybe take advantage of services like that. Or you can always reach out to me, nostalgianomics at gmail.com or Eli. And we may always give you an offer too. But sorry, Michael, I am sorry to hear that, dude, that you came to the point where you had to sell
dude.
Wanted to sell.
I wonder if people keep asking about it all the time in the wholesale program. I wonder if I should just start offering consignment at some point in the shop.
You could. But yeah, I mean, Michael, I really do feel bad that it comes to what you have to. But yeah, man, I mean, I've used Probstein before, and they're, because they're one of the few people that take sealed product. And yeah, I mean, not the only issue I've had is like sometimes they're a little slower to pay out with things because they have to, like, I guess, let things clear, make sure things get paid. Sometimes it takes like a week or two, but other than that, I mean, always got paid out. The items always go for good prices.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, you could do that, man.
My only thing the only reason why I've been hesitant to do it is I would need to find a good way of being able to sell the product and distinguish it between our store's inventory. And also as well, like I would need to do it at a rate that would justify making it make sense, especially because even with it being done on a POS, they're still taking 3% like from me, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the real value that most people that would be doing it would be getting out of it is that you're obviously, if you're like, for example, in the wholesale program, you wouldn't have to pay the shipping cost of it being shipped to you. You wouldn't have to pay the shipping cost of you selling it to a customer. And then on top of that too, like you're doing it in a local game store, which is going to typically command a lot better of a local value, right? But you know, I'd have to figure out a logistical way to go about it. With all the craziness in the hobby, like the McDonald's Pikachu and a black label back at 10 selling for over 20K, do you think there's a bubble that will eventually burst?
Do you see that?
I did not see that. No.
So if you guys don't know what he's talking about, the McDonald's Pikachu eating the burger promo was given out for free, with Happy Meals in Japan. Well, apparently a black label of that card went for like $21,000 and confirmed sold. So that's kind of where we're at. We've had Chinese cards sell for over 100,000. We've had other ones sell, like the Gengar Pikachu, I think was 17. It's out of hand. Will that bubble burst? In my opinion, yes. I think some of these ridiculous like grading multiples will burst to an extent, and they'll start coming down to more, I would say, like more realistic multiples of like the raw single or like the, you know, lower grades. I think what's happening right now is, again, all the catalysts. You've got Chinese money getting in the hobby, right? So anyone with money in China who had previously not been interested in the hobby is now getting interested because now they have Chinese product that's doing really well. Again, that Wall Street Journal article, you have institutional money start to get into this. Just the normal, you know, new people getting in the hobby, and there's with a percentage of every new person is going to have money, right? Is going to have a lot of like disposable income. And so you're just having a lot of rich people compete over things they want. And, you know, when you have a lot of money and you want something, you just pay whatever it costs. You know, it's kind of like when Post Malone paid whatever, $2 million for the Lord of the Ring, one ring. Was it worth that? Doesn't matter if it was or wasn't. That's what he paid for it. So that's what it's worth. Like, it's just, that's kind of what happens when you have money and you want something, I think.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think, yeah, I definitely think there's going to be some things that are going to burst for sure.
Yeah.
I think most of it tends to be single cards, not as much sealed, but you will see adjustments in some sealed items, more vintage, possibly. I know at least during COVID, you had obviously a huge run up in some of the vintage booster boxes that ended up correcting.
Dude, I'm going to say something so off brand.
Oh boy.
Dude, I actually think some of the vintage boxes are undervalued right now.
I don't think that's a bad take, honestly.
I think some of those first edition Gen 1 boxes compared to what like some of these modern, like this, a $20,000 McDonald's Pikachu, some of these modern slabs and even some of these modern boxes like the Team Up, the Phantom Forces, the Flashfire, when you look at the price points of those and then some of these other boxes like a first edition Fossil, it seems like it should be valued higher.
I 100% agree with you. I talked about that a while ago where I was looking at Jungle Fossil and was like, guys,
yeah,
maybe this is a hot take for me, but I feel like these items are extremely undervalued when you start to compare the fact that a lot of the XY boxes are creeping up.
And it's not taking anything away from XI. XY is very scarce too, especially the early ones. The early ones are much more scarce than the later boxes. But man, this is a level I didn't think we'd see this quick.
Yeah.
And then the promo. I mean, all these cards are just stupid. The black label and the PSA 10, you know, Chinese, Japanese, all this crazy stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah. Thoughts on holding loose packs for special sets versus mainline? I mean, we've talked about this quite a bit.
I mean, I think loose packs in general have become a lot more liquid than they used to be because of streaming. I think streamers are always going to need packs, and so it's like anything else, guys. You know, it's like buying a loose box or like a loose bundle compared to a sealed case, right? You're going to buy the loose box and loose bundle at a lower price. You're going to sell at a lower price. You're buying the sealed cases. You're going to pay at a premium. You're going to sell at a premium. Loose packs, you're going to pay much less than what the sealed product's going for, like the boxes and stuff. But when you go to sell, you're going to get less for it than what you're going to get for a sealed box or whatever else. And so I think it's kind of everything's kind of played the same game. As long as the right margin's there, I think anything sealed is investable at this point and liquid.
Would you prefer though to hold loose packs of special set or mainline?
I think everything is case by case on how much a premium the sealed is going for. So like if the loose packs are a huge discount under like what the ETBs or booster boxes or whatever are going for, then I think it can make sense. If it's not much of a premium, I'd rather just go get the sealed product and pay a little bit of a premium. Like a good example would be like 151. I mean, loose packs are so cheap compared to what an ETB goes for, or like Evolving Skies, right? Evolving Skies so cheap compared to what a box goes for. And that's a main line in a specialty set. So I think it just depends on case by case basis.
I 100% agree. I mean, there's been multiple instances we've looked at on the channel where we've said, hey, this makes sense to get the singles or the single loose packs. This makes sense to now get this sealed product, whether it be a booster bundle or another item.
Yeah.
Do you think Mega Enhanced Booster Box is a good pickup at 245, looking to hold for 5 to 10 years, but not sure if there will be a better entry point with the second wave? I mean, this is all I will say. If you are truly, truly looking to hold at 5 to 10 years, then who cares? Yes, pick it up at 245. But if you're someone that's like, I want to only hold it for like a year or two, then it's hard for me to answer that for you because we don't have a crystal ball. But at the end of it all, like if this box in the next, we'll say 7 years, let's say it goes to, this might sound crazy, but let's say it goes to over $2,000 in the next 7 years. You're not going to say to yourself, oh man, I could have made an extra 3% if I picked it up for 190. Like realistically, like if it gets down to that price. I don't know. What's your thoughts, Alex?
I don't know. I mean, I definitely wouldn't go all in if you want to like get a start of a position. I don't think it's a terrible idea, especially with what we've seen. And then, if it does go back, here's my new line is like 200. Like that's like my new price point to where if I can get any box basically now at 200, I'm a buyer, where it used to be like 100, right? But at this point, like I think anything at $200 is probably a buy. Once you start getting further and further away from that, I think it becomes less and less attractive. Yeah. But yeah, if you want to just start building a position at that point and keep cash on the sidelines, the dollar cost average in, it's not a bad idea. I'd rather have some than none. I mean, I'm sitting here with 2 cases of Destined Rivals because I didn't want to pay $230 a box, and I missed out, right? And it's unlikely Destin will ever get back to that. I mean, honestly, at this point, the way it's going, I mean, forget MSRP. I'm worried we're not going to see $200 a box again on Destined Rivals. Like some people are saying they're worried they're not going to see 3. I mean, it's crazy right now. And so it's just like, I'd rather have some than none. So yeah, I don't think it's a terrible idea.
Yeah. Send some off to the side for new set releases. Definitely.
Especially with how Pokemon's printing. They're not printing booster boxes. It just seems like the release is your chance. And then like, hey, we'll just sprinkle all kind of ancillary product till the end of time, but no more boxes. So it's just like, yeah, I think I'm going to start putting some boxes away at release because odds are we might not get them for a lot of sets.
Yeah.
They just reprinted Surging and Twilight. No boxes.
Alex, the people want to know, did you purchase from the Pokemon Center today?
I replied, no, I don't get on Pokemon Center anymore. I don't try. I don't sit in stupid queues. I don't have time for that. I don't go to Walmart, Costco, Target and try to buy stuff. I don't do any of that nonsense. None of it.
Sadly, same, man. I would love to get some, but it's just not worth my time to go sit in a queue.
No, I mean, like it's
and hope I get it.
Yeah.
Greetings. Could you name your top set product for the short, mid, long term? Thanks.
Short, mid, long term. Prismatic.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
Prismatic Evolutions.
I like that answer straight up. That's honestly, that's a good one.
Dude, it is like, there was a while ago we were talking, there's no obvious plays. It is the most blaring obvious. This is as obvious as 151 was. Me and Eli sat here probably a year ago when 151 C's dropped at Costco and they were $80. And we sat here and begged everyone to buy it. And we literally had people in the chat. What did they say? I'm going to wait for the reprint.
It's a brick.
They said, I'm going to wait for the ETB reprint or this reprint. And I'm like, you guys are missing it. I'm going to say it right now. And you're going to remember this. September 15th, 2025. This is the time, in my opinion.
I mean, we've said this every week. We've literally said this every week for the past 3 months now. Basically, since it's been around $100, we've said it's a good buy price. I think we've also mentioned that if you're going to do it, I would defer on getting the seal case of the ETBs if you can. It just makes the most sense.
Makes the most sense for short, mid, and long term.
Yes, 100%. Alex, does Hills double box booster box cases?
Yeah, I answered that too. They always have for me. You know, you can also leave it in the notes section on your order. Just put in the notes, hey, please double box this or whatever. Every time I've ordered 6 booster boxes or 10 ETBs and I've put, you know, please send sealed case, they always have. It's not guaranteed. None of this is guaranteed, but they've always treated me right. So I'm gonna hesitantly say yes, but I don't think there's a guarantee.
I mean, with the way in which everything's moving nowadays, like it's weird to think about even within my own program, where before it's like double boxing really, but now with everything just continuing to climb and being so much money and the rise of seal collecting, it's becoming more popular, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Do we think Pokemon wants pricing this high? And if not, how long will they keep going with booster box retailer approach where most inventory is getting bought up by bots?
No, I don't think Pokemon wants prices this high.
No.
If I had to guess, I think they probably want it to be somewhere between 140 to 200 a box. Like somewhere between, I would say like give or take 10
give or
to
take MSRP
under or over MSRP, probably as close to that as possible. Yeah. I don't know. Like, yeah, the bot thing, it's like everyone's look, there's no perfect system. Either you want it to go through retail. Well, then there's bots and there's people who stand in line outside the store. We'll send it through distribution. Well, no, the distributors are going to overcharge it, or they're going to hold some product back, or stores are going to overcharge it once they get it, or the rip and shippers have distribution, they're going to get it. Everyone's got an excuse for every possible part of the distribution chain there can possibly be, and so I don't think there's a perfect answer. I mean, what's your thought?
I mean, I agree with you on what I think they would prefer in terms of pricing. That just makes the most sense, but we can't read their mind. In terms of their approach with most inventory, I mean, they've obviously tried their best to address botting. I mean, to the point of where they've done literal full refunds because they had issues with bots and they noticed that so much of it was being botted that they literally were like, nah, we're going to try this over again.
That's wild.
Yeah.
We didn't really talk about that much. That's crazy.
No, it's something people need to understand. They're doing their darnest, but like there's only so much they can control. And more specifically, there's only so much that they can control that's worth their time, because as much as I hate to say it, like there's just instances where like, hey, this is a crappy situation. It sucks. It happened. But like, we literally have so many other things we're dealing with. We're just going to have to, cut our losses here.
Well, and anyone here that runs a business or has ran a business or would want to run a business, if you had a situation where all of your product sold out every single time you dropped it, how upset really are you? I mean, I understand they have like the longevity of their game and hobby to think about, but like, yeah, they're upset to an extent, but at the same time, they've raised MSRP. They're selling more direct through their own website more than ever and making full amount, not having to send it to big box stores or distributors to take a piece of it. Pokemon's pretty happy right now.
Yeah, I don't think they're it's a good problem to have.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you think there's a strong pull towards nihilism with Gen Z, and they don't think they will ever be able to save for a house, and so they're spending disposable income on luxuries?
Apache, I think you need to get out of the TikTok rabbit hole. I think there's opportunity out there. You guys don't like my take on this, but I'll give it. I don't care. Like I take all the heat online. I think when you really look, I think people want life to be a certain way, and because it's not a certain way, their first instinct is complain. Whereas, like, yeah, it'd be nice if you could go work a small amount and pay all your bills, and healthcare was cheap or free, and all these things. But like, they're not. Does that mean there's no opportunity? No, it just means that, hey, maybe you have to work more than people used to have to, or that you would want to. but there you can definitely get ahead, right? It doesn't say pursuit of happiness on a 40-hour work week because you graduated with a college degree or because you graduated high school. It's a pursuit of happiness. Go out and pursue it, right? Go make something happen. Go get a job. Go do something on the side. Go, whatever you have to do, you can go grind and still become successful. I mean, me and Eli are both, obviously we've done that. Tons of other people in this hobby have done that. And other parts of life have done that. Obviously we're not in Gen Z, we're millennials, but when I got out of high school, it was 2008. It was the peak of the financial collapse of, everything. Right. And, people still paid me to mow their grass. I went out there and grinded. I went out there and got a pickup truck and all the equipment and went around, flyer door to door, mowed lawns all day, flyered all afternoon, and just built from the ground up. And I think a lot of people can do that. And I just think a lot of people just want life to be easy, and I get it. And just because it's not doesn't mean it's not possible. So I just think people need to get out there and start grinding harder.
I'll try and answer this question.
Look at you, Eli. You're a perfect example. You're Gen Z.
I'll try and
Eli just bought how expensive of a house?
It costs $670,000.
You got a college degree?
Nope.
Parents give you money?
Nope.
When you start living on your own?
That's a good question. 2022, so 3 years ago, I was 23.
Started living on his own at 23 in a cheap apartment, built a business, afforded a home on his own, no help from parents, no inheritance.
Dude, inheritance? That'd be sick. No.
I'm just saying, dude.
I'll try and answer this.
You just did it, Mr. Gen Z, right there.
Here's how I'm going to put this, right? I'm going to put it this way, and I'll try and do it as quickly as possible, especially someone that is Gen Z. I think that there's things we have to acknowledge, and then there's things we have to look at. Number one, obviously, the easiest thing to acknowledge is this is the first time in history where our generation had it worse off financially in terms of our previous generations. Like, that's just a statistical fact.
Yep.
With that being said, though, I feel like there's other considerations that you have to look at, which is right now, the jobs that you can be working are significantly different than those of the jobs of our previous generations, right? I have many individuals in my family that worked blue collar jobs, some that were coal miners. I would rather be working at a desk than in a mine. And with that being said, I'm not saying that everyone obviously was a coal miner. I mean, these are people from Ohio, right? But what I am to say is that if you look at the technological advancements that we've made and the technological luxuries that we have more nowadays, some of these items were considered to be only the wealthy would be able to afford. And nowadays they're just common everyday luxuries, right? Whether that be owning a TV, whether that be phones. I mean, you could keep going on, right? Owning a computer. And now everyone, it feels like, has one of them. And so these access to luxuries is much more readily available. But in my own honest opinion, especially kind of from my own observation with individuals that, whether it be friends with or people that I talk to a lot that are all around my age, right? The thing that I honestly just noticed the most is that within our own generation, we have a completely different method of coping, because reality is, like, people cope in different ways to reality. Historically speaking, a lot of people have done their coping through alcohol. And although my generation does drink, I feel like it's more significant than ever that people find their coping mechanisms through gambling. And this is realistically a legalized form of gambling that a lot of people cope through and can do it in a more family-friendly way. So I get off of a long shift or a long day at work. Man, you know what sounds like something that would just really brighten up my day? Just ripping a booster pack and getting a good high off of pulling an amazing chase card. Like, that is literally what people like. I have people that know nothing about Pokemon, know nothing about trading cards, but love ripping packs because they want to get that dopamine hit of potentially getting a big hit. And so what you'll do is literally you can get like your friends on board by just showing them, all right, here's the top hits in a set. Here's what we're chasing after. They only see the dollar sign. That's all they see, right? Heck, there's kids. I remember when I was a kid, right? When I was collecting cards, 5 or 6 years old, all I looked at was like, this card's cool because I like that Pokemon or I like the shiny cardboard. There's kids that come into the shop on a regular basis that are like, how much is this worth? How much is this worth? Oh, this is worth X amount. Like kids did not consider that,
Yeah.
or at least from what I recall, whatsoever. Whereas nowadays, like kids are looking at the value of cards so much more, or they're chasing that high so much more nowadays. And of course, you also take that as well with the effects of social media and the influence of social media nowadays,
Yeah.
with the way in which people are growing up with TikTok, PokeRev, all these other things. So all of this more or less to say is that people love to have time, which they can never own. And so they're going to do their best to own as much of it as
Yeah.
possible through nostalgia. And that's what people are doing. They don't want to grow up. That's why we have terms like Disney adults, right? This is another form of that, but it's for people that can connect with their childhood while also still have a coping mechanism through gambling so they can kind of avoid a lot of the stresses of their everyday life. Now,
Yeah.
whether that's healthy or not, I mean, I feel like you can have a life balance with that where you can still set off money to the side and not be a complete degenerate and just immediately spend all your paycheck on cardboard. I mean, I remember seeing a video on Caleb Hammer or Dave Ramsey where there's people that have gone through divorce or financial hardship because they literally put themselves into debt over Pokemon collecting. So there's very big instances in which, people are just not being financially smart about it. But I feel like there's definitely a lot of individuals that can have a life balance of things and can, even through all the difficulties of finances in modern day society compared to previous generations, that I would still argue have it better off, just based on the fact that there's more like, better working condition environments. And also as well, I would argue more creative opportunities to find jobs. Whereas the idea of working remote was never really a thing. Like commuting to your job an hour each way was considered a normal thing. Like not having to deal with the fact that like you're going to deal with, like I said before, the horrible working conditions of certain blue collar jobs. Like you can go be a TikToker, you can be an influencer, you can be someone that works a tech job, and you have your own freedom in that regard. Like there's so much of a evolution of the way in which like things are in society, and everyone tends to of course always look at the bad, but there are some benefits to it that I feel like of course needs to always be acknowledged. So kind of looking at the good and the bad, kind of looking at the healthiness of life balance, like this is kind of like the summation of all of it and how I view it. Like I said before, I tried getting it down as much as I can, but like this is a whole in-depth conversation.
Yeah, and like even though I'm giving more like the tough love approach, it's just like I think you can like accept that yes, it's harder now, and no one's saying it isn't. And like, yeah, it sucks that you can't just go get a 40-hour a week job and make it like our grandparents used to. I get that, but at the same time, you have to also acknowledge there's so much more opportunity, even though it may take more of your time and nobody wants to give their time away, but it's still very easy, like not easy, but it's very doable to get a house. Like you can go get a regular job and look at that. How many YouTube channels now are in just the Pokemon space, not every space, that are all getting good amount of views. And I know YouTube revenue, I know they're making at least $1,000 to $2,000 a month. There's enough to make up for the house payment you can afford now. Look at that. Just by making some YouTube videos, just by doing a little bit on the side. I get it. You're still having to work more than you want to, but it's the opportunities there. For anyone that does want to put forth just a little extra effort. And so, yes, it's worse than before. I get it. But to say it's like not possible, that's crazy. That's crazy. Just put a little more effort forth and you can do it.
I mean, at least how I kind of look at it from my perspective, and this is purely anecdotal, right? But I was someone that was able to just go online, do some research, and from that, I was able to find different avenues of how to generate revenue. And then from there, I obviously put in the work for what I deemed to be the direction I wanted to go. Whereas before, you didn't have the internet, you didn't have Google, you didn't have Reddit. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy to think about how many ways you're able to make money that people don't realize, but you now are able to discover because of the internet. Like if you realistically back then, before the internet was as prevalent as it is, Reddit and other places where, like, you would watch the show, what is it called? It's called Dirty Jobs or something. I
Yeah.
can't remember what it is. And
Yeah.
you'd
Matt
find out,
Grill.
oh my God, there's these jobs. I've never heard of this. You can make that much money doing it. But like now you've got entire forums dedicated to here's how I made X amount of money doing this. Here's how to do it, blah, 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 blah. So it's just, it's there's a lot more resources, I would argue, nowadays, to where you can kind of like be creative and you don't have to feel stuck in a specific job. Whereas before it was like, you've got 3 options if you don't got a college degree. You know
Here's
what I
the other
mean?
thing, dude. Here's the other thing. You have to be really stupid if you think this is the hardest time in human history to live, right? So let me tell you something. From the beginning of time, there's always been poor, there's always been rich, and there's always been stuff in between. From the beginning of time through like all the years of the world. And so it's just like, yeah, it may not be the best times ever, but it's certainly not the worst in human existence. And no matter what, there's always going to be people that find a way to do well, get ahead, support themselves. There's always going to be people that complain and don't. It's just a normal way of the world, man.
Yeah, and here's the deal, right? Like there's some people that are obviously going to be blessed with better financial advantages than you.
For sure.
That's just a fact. But
we both grew up with a sort of privilege. Like, yes, I had 2 parents. We had meals. I had a house to live in, you know, whatever it may be, right? I was able to go to school. Like, those are privileges that some do not have. Like, and everyone's going to have a certain different amount of those privileges. No one's saying that life is fair, but at the same time, for most, again, not all, no one's saying like, you know, if you grew up with a really terrible situation, for most, especially if you're here sitting on the internet in the middle of the day on a freaking Monday, you know, talking about Pokemon, owning Pokemon, I'm going to guess you're at a part of your life. You're in a position to where you should be able to get yourself out of whatever position you're in. I'm just saying.
You know, I definitely like sure, could I say, oh, you know, I'm not privileged, I didn't live in a mansion. Like there's layers to it, right? Like you said, 2-parent household. I had parents that were kind enough to allow me the freedom to live with them until I was 23 and ready to move out. Some people don't have those privilege advantages. Some people either get kicked out immediately at 18, or heck, some people can't wait to leave at 18 because of how disastrous the household and it's detrimental to their mental state, right?
Yeah.
Like there's, you know, and so for me, I always kind of take everything that I have, regardless of the stuff that I've dealt with in my personal life, and I just say, don't take it for granted, because, you know, it could be worse. Like as much as I would love it to have been better, it's one of those things where I'm very, very lucky to be in the situation that I am. And that's coming from someone who literally watched their parents declare bankruptcy and like '08, and watching so much financial turmoil that caused me so much anxiety, which I won't shut up about. Apparently, I didn't realize I'd talk about it so much until my wife mentioned it. But I would argue is what made me where I am now, because physically speaking, I am the type of person that wants to always put myself in a position where, if hypothetically speaking, something disastrous were to happen economically, I can always make sure I'm going to be covered and I don't have to worry about, you know, potentially losing everything. You know what I'm saying? So it's trying to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, but ultimately still letting the struggles of your own life, or the struggles that you've had, use that as ways to learn from or to motivate yourself, rather than looking at others and saying what I don't have is the reason why I won't ever get anywhere. Because like I said before, we all have different starts, but you can still win the race. Like that's just kind of how it is. We did get a $20 donation. Shout out to Zachary. Thank you so much. Narrow is beta. I got 20 on it. We'll take it, man.
Zach, dude. Zach's a real one, man.
That's crazy. Thank you so much. Man, there's so many questions. To answer someone's question though, because I did see someone mention it later down when I was scrolling. No, I did not buy my home in cash. I wish I was that wealthy. I put 20% down. So, which I will say that was a accumulation over a 5-year period. So it wasn't one of these things where I was like, Eli's balling, like he just got that money. It's like, no, I started my business. I grew it over a 5-year period. I aggressively invested every single penny I had. I mean, you guys have seen the photos of like what my living room looks like with the Battle Academy boxes. I've said it before on stream, like many times, how grateful I am to have a wife that gave me the ability to not need furniture for a home where it just is literally full of boxes to grow the business. So I invested everything I could in the business, grew it as fast as I could. And then eventually when it was time for us to, of course, kind of reap some of the rewards, we did. And we obviously were able to afford enough to put 20% down on a home, which I am very grateful and blessed. And, I'm very lucky to have. So, and I've got other people.
Wait, so you had to sacrifice?
A lot of sacrifice. A lot of sacrifice.
Dude, if I had my wife on here like to interview one time, it'd be crazy because like when I was building a lawn care landscaping company at the time when I met her, but we went on a couple of dates and I finally like I didn't have time. I was growing. I didn't have the money to blow. And we had a conversation really early, like, listen, I'm growing a company right now. Like I can't really afford to do all this. Like, dude, it was dollar menu and Redbox, dude. That was like our date nights. It was dollar menu at McDonald's, pick up a Redbox when they used to have those, go home, watch that. That was our date. And like we lived, I mean, even when we like got a house together, like we lived so cheap, so didn't take vacations, didn't buy anything unnecessary. And so it's just like, I just think people that like, it's so easy to like, once you get successful, people be like, oh, well, you don't understand. It's like, no, I understand. I understand living off basically nothing, doing nothing for yourself, spending nothing on yourself. I get it. It sucks, but the suck makes it when you make it feel that much better.
How long have you been married to your wife now?
9 years.
9 years. Congrats, dude. That's awesome.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that is definitely another blessing to have, or another privilege, is the ability to find someone supportive.
Mason's dollar menu in a Redbox doesn't exist anymore.
That is actually.
All right, sorry. Value menu and Netflix.
You're such a boomer, Alex. Imagine
Netflix
talking
better.
about.
You just pay one monthly fee and you get unlimited movies, dude. It's even better now. Look at that. Life got easier.
It's true. Yeah, streaming has definitely changed things. You know what's so funny? Because like my parents obviously talked about things in the back of my day, right? Growing up, it's like, oh man, we got the dollar menu. My dad was like, I could buy a whole candy bar for 10 cents. Like, I'm just like, oh, it's a whole candy bar is like $1. And now it's like $2 depending upon the candy bar.
Dude, think about this. YouTube and Twitch are free. We have free entertainment now.
That is true. There's a lot of free entertainment.
You could not have one streaming service and be just fine.
Yeah. I mean, cable is no longer a thing that's necessary. Like, sure, you can argue and say it's cable the long way if you pick up every single like service, but you get to have your cake and eat it too. And you can do it with the option of not needing to have commercials, and the option as well of being able to have a unlimited library practically of options. Which is super duper nice.
Neo's crashing out hard right now in the comments, bro.
Is he really?
I think we broke him.
I'm not even reading it, dude.
I think we broke it.
I'm not even reading it. Like I saw, yeah, I'm not reading it right now.
Hey, Republic Bricks, he's a part of Gen Z.
Yo,
we could ask Republic Bricks how nihilistic he is.
100K is prismatic ETBs and booster bundles. I just want to say we're not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but also.
Guys, really Republic Bricks is another struggling nihilistic Gen Z.
Yeah. It's just, so I obviously, I mentioned it last stream, but for those of you guys that didn't know, I was in California for a couple of days visiting some family. And it was fascinating because I was talking to my great aunt and uncle, and they're in their 70s. And we were just having conversations about just life and things that they went through and things that I went through, or just our perspective. It is so crazy to see how everyone looks at things so differently because of not only what they grew up with, but realistically, like just culturally what's in their life. And I guess what I'm trying to articulate is my great aunt and uncle, I was like talking to them about social media and trying to explain to them what's going on culturally within my generation. And they were like, so like, what? This is what's happening. And they were just talking to me about what they heard on the news or what they watch and stuff. And so I bring all this to say that it's fascinating because there is a different perspective that each of us have for one another, right? Like boomers look at Gen Z in one way and Gen Z look at boomers in another way. And I feel like it's all from our own cultures that we're engulfing ourselves in, almost like an echo chamber. And I feel like if people could just have a conversation with one another and really get to see the perspective, it kind of really opens things up. Because realistically, I
Yes
feel like
and
at least
no.
online, there's such a huge, how do I want to say this, resentment towards the later generations. And I feel like there's such a disconnect because of the reality that is social media and it kind of causing a division between a lot of people that just can't see that perspective because they've not really interacted with the person that they're like trying to resent, I guess. I don't know. Hopefully what I'm trying to say makes sense. I'm basically saying that people are mad at people they don't even know. Like they're getting angry because they're told that they should be angry over something when in reality it's like, okay, like do you know this individual on a personal level as
Yeah.
to what is causing you to be angry by them? I don't know. Maybe that's
No,
just me personally.
yeah, I don't get angry, and I also don't like I don't like lack like empathy or whatever you want to call it. Like, you know, to admit the struggle's real is something different to admit there's no hope, right? It's just like, is it harder? For sure, right? The wages haven't kept up with the prices of homes and cars and things. Does that mean they're like, oh, there's no way? No, that's ridiculous, right? I could literally take any Gen Z kid right now. I could literally get them out, get them a lawn. You could go door to door. You could make Facebook ads. Get enough accounts. Go use, get some prepayments. Go buy a mower. Start mowing lawns. Like you could still do exactly what I did back in 2008 right now. Like you could literally still do that if you have some initiative and want to get out and be a self starter. And so it's just like, I just think, be a YouTuber. You can start making content. You can start doing this, doing that. Like, there's so many different ways to make extra income now. And yes, it sucks because you have to work more. Yes, it sucks. It is worse than older generations. You cannot get a job at 18 and support a family. 100%. It is worse. But does that mean you're like screwed from everything? No, you just have to do a little more. Do you want to do a little more? No. Okay, then don't worry about it. That's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, it's different, man. I think that I feel like there's such a there's the cultural differences nowadays between everyone is so layered because forever I feel like people have always looked at it and they've looked at it from the political perspective as in like a culture of left and right. But I feel like there's such a huge cultural difference within each generation, within each subculture. Like you can look at things and you can believe a perspective on how the world is without really knowing so much that's going on. Like it's honestly crazy to think about when you have these conversations with people and you're like, "Oh, you didn't know this is what's going on," and it's just like a whole other world that you're being like opened up to.
Yeah.
So I feel like people need to be better at not just jumping to blame and more specifically need to be better at just giving the benefit of the doubt or having a conversation and being able to see perspective. Because I feel like discourse is important in this country.
And by the way, for anyone who doesn't know who Republic Bricks is, he's built a pretty massive Lego empire, has extremely large business, employs multiple people, and he's in his 20s. So
Heck yeah. A large Lego empire, dude. Yeah,
he
you'll
even
have to tell
he even employs his parents.
you'll have to tell me how you did that, Republic Bricks, because I looked into Pokemon or Lego distribution, bro, and you can get most products cheaper on Amazon than you can from the distributor. So I would love to hear your story. All right, we'll get back on topic because oh my god, we should probably only answer a couple more questions because we are
Look at
hour and a half in.
Hero's still going. Eli, is that your dream chair?
What is he saying?
At first he's talking about a Yaris, and now he's like, Eli, is that your dream chair?
A Yaris? Is he just popping off right now?
He's just like popping off the most random stuff, dude. It's so funny.
Question: when you guys buy slabs, what's your take on sequential set? How do you value sequential set? Example like the 4 CZ gold cards.
I don't. I value it at what the market tells me it's valued at. Like personally, I don't understand it. It's kind of like the whole like stamp craze. But yeah, I mean, you can really only look at what kind of the market tells you that it's selling for. Like, do you put any like value on it other than that?
No, not really. It's kind of it, honestly.
I think it's a niche market that really cares about that. And so like it's going to be like a harder that's one of those things where you definitely don't want to auction. That's more of those like you listed to buy it now and let the right buyer come because there's fewer out there.
Dude, Republic Bricks just donated 5, said Gen Z is lazy and addicted to gambling and vaping.
That's kind of what you said without the vaping.
I didn't say they were lazy, but I definitely said that gambling is a very popular coping mechanism in our demographic. And yes, vaping is also very popular in my demographic too. Vaping is super popular. So thankfully, I did not fall victim to vaping. I've never smoked or vaped before. Alrighty. It's just such a funny question. All caps. Questions. Should I sell my Lost Origin PC ETB? Most recent offer I've had is 1550.
I do not know the market on that, to be honest.
I was about to say Lost Origin Pokemon Center ETB. What is that going for?
Let's see. Yeah, recent sale looks like it was 821 at 1600. Lowest list is 1739 plus shipping on TCG. I'll check eBay. I mean, it seems like that's a pretty legitimate offer. You might be able to get more, but it seems pretty good.
I mean, here's my honest opinion. I don't know what your financial situation is, so I'm just going to answer it this way. If you really, really, really need the money, go for it. I don't think that's a bad offer. But if it were me, I'm holding just because right now I'm just things are so parabolic right now. I'm just holding.
Yeah, I can't even really find much sales data on it. Honestly, like that, if you're like Eli said, if you need to sell or you're looking to sell, I think that seems like a pretty decent price. Maybe you could get another $50, $100 more. Seems pretty good.
Do you think many PSA 10 slabs, Carp, Lugia, Gengar, other cards from the top set still have room to rise? Tempted to sell a few and buy more sealed product?
Well, Magikarp's going on another run right now. I think it's back in the mid 2000s. Yeah, I mean, as we get closer to out of print on these first 6 sets in Scarlet Violet, I know the Carp's rising. I know the Bubble Mew is already parabolic. I think a lot of those cards, though, a lot of those illustrations and SIRs have a lot of room to run. If we're talking about specifically the Lugia, Gengar, Carp, I think the Magikarp's still going to run. Paldea Evolve is just going through a massive growth cycle. The cards are probably going to follow. It has an 18-ish% 10 rate, which is like astronomically low. And there's just so few out there for people to actually own, which is going to be a lot of competition. The Lugia and Gengar, I don't know, man. Like they're probably like getting to the point where they start go stagnant. It doesn't mean they're not going to be higher in the future. I think the massive run is over. I think they'll start to maybe stabilize or start to grow slower from here, but we'll see. That's my take.
I mean, you would know better than I, honestly, dude. I don't pay attention to the singles as much as I do the sealed. I look way more at sealed.
Dude, honestly, I'll be real, dude. I've kind of lost grasp of this market at this point with the singles.
Like I said, man, it's the same video each week, but yet a different topic of, hey, this week we're going to talk about how things went even crazier than last week.
From everything I know about the hobby, I would think a lot of the gains have been made. Not all of them, but a lot of it. Could be wrong.
Yeah. Nintendo Pokemon has stopped being greedy launching a DLC for a game that isn't out yet is insane. Oh, Pokemon has to stop being greedy launching a DLC for a game that isn't out yet is insane.
What is DLC?
Downloadable content, like an extension of the game. So like, you know how with Scarlet and Violet they had the original game and then you could unlock the Crown Tundra, but you had to pay an extra $15.
Mm-hmm. So how do they release that without a game?
I think what he's saying is that I don't know. So I'm not 100% certain. I think he's just being upset over the fact that they have DLCs, but I could be wrong if there's some information that I don't know about with the most recent game regarding DLCs. Whoops. I didn't mean to click on that. I'm going to scroll down and see if
he loves me, man. He loves me. I like Nero. Nero, dude, he's so out there that it's just funny. You know what I'm saying? Like it's so far gone that you gotta like it's just you have to laugh.
You know, full tilt.
Yeah.
Full tilt. Yeah, I'm not 100% certain if I'm being honest. I do apologize. I will say that
that sounds like a Gen Z question anyway.
That's crazy. I don't know, man. It's hard because I think that there's times in which DLCs make sense, and there's times when it doesn't. I have nothing against the DLCs unless they're starting to gouge you on the base game. I think the problem I have with DLCs,
$80, right?
I think the problem I have with DLCs is that if they basically don't give you a full game and then say if you want the actual full game, then you have to pay more, that's when I start having issues with it. I mean, you saw this with Elder Scrolls Online. Like, this was such a big issue. But, like, heck, I remember, and, you know, freaking so long ago, but Black Ops 2, baby. Like, DLCs, if I wanted to play the new Call of Duty maps for zombies, I'd pay so much money to play Origins or Mob of the Dead.
What I'm more concerned about, is there a way to scalp these DLCs?
That's crazy, right? Oh my gosh, crazy. Hold on one second. We'll do probably what, maybe 2 more questions and we'll get out of here. Maybe 1 more.
It's up to you, man.
Yeah, we're running so far on time. Do you think TCGs are so popular right now because we have moved towards this digital only world? It's one of the only fully hands-on cultures that exist.
Maybe. I really don't know. I honestly don't know. Like, none of it makes sense to me. The fact that like we can support this many different TCGs as we can right now and they're all doing well. It's a little mind-blowing.
It's just, dude, it's just board games. I don't think it's that deep. I mean, here's how I look at it. People like doing things communally, right? Like there's an aspect of community that people enjoy. It's just human nature. And this is just the evolution of that. For the longest time, it was board games. People just would play Monopoly. They would play Risk. They'd play Sorry. Like you can keep going on. More recently, it's now been more popular that people play trading card games because there is a collectability aspect on top of the game that people enjoy. And you couldn't do that previously with board games. It's not like you're collecting Monopoly games.
And there's a gamble to open the packs. That's why Labubu is popular.
100%.
It's a stuffed animal, but it's the gamble.
Yeah, so it has more to do with the fact that you have a fun aspect at its baseline level of the game itself, which you can also have fun not only collecting, but then also fun gambling. So you've got just layers of fun to it that people can enjoy.
Layers
from
of
all different.
fun.
I mean, it's just true though, because you're drawing in all different demographics. You could have someone that knows nothing about the Pokemon game, but will love to collect it. I just told you that I've got people that know nothing about Pokemon, but they love ripping packs because they like the gambling aspect. So you're drawing in multiple different crowds. Like that's it. You're just drawing in multiple different demographics that you usually wouldn't.
I know nothing about why Schwartz Nikki got us a victory, but I enjoy opening that.
There you go. Dude, Lord of the Rings, popular IP, got people in the hobby, right? I mean, there's a reason why you see Taylor Swift at every single freaking Kansas City Chiefs game. Like they're drawing in numbers, man. They're pulling in outside crowds. You might hate it, but they're doing it for a reason. All right. Oh boy, another one from our boy.
Yo, Eli, I'm making jokes, but I respect you didn't ban me like scared Alex did. Nero, don't get too worked up, man. I ban a lot of people. I just don't have I don't have patience for nonsense on my channel.
For sure, brother. Question: Do you feel? Oh, sorry, last question. Do you feel Twilight booster boxes are a good pickup at the current price?
I mean, judging by everything we see on this market, maybe. If you want my like number one pick right now for a booster box, it's Surging Sparks. I think Surging Sparks, if you're looking to pick something up, it makes some of the most sense on the market. It's basically the same price as everything else. It's like almost the same price as Stellar, Temporal, Paradox, all those around 250, 260. I think Surging Sparks is way too strong of a set to be that cheap. And again, I say that cheap because it's relative, right? It's still crazy for as new as it is, but relative to what everything else is going for, it shouldn't be down around those other sets. It should be up there with the Twilights and the Destin, somewhere in the middle there. Like it's too strong of a set to be that low.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
So, but as far as Twilight, I mean, it's more risky.
I'm still picking up Prismatic over it.
For sure. Yeah, Prismatic or Surging, either one.
Yeah. Maybe this is just me, but he says your link is broken. I just used it and it worked fine for me. I don't know if it's different though from desktop versus mobile.
Eli what he's trying to do, he's trying to catch up in subscriber count. And so he's purposely not allowing people to find my channel. So if you guys don't know, I have my own channel. It's called Nostalgianomics. Search it on YouTube. We have to put a stop to him.
We have to put a stop to him now. Your support goes a long way. I need you to go subscribe right now, this very instant. That's so funny. I don't know. Is it different though? Maybe because I just copy and pasted your link in go try and see if you can do it, if it works for you.
No, it doesn't. I see why. So you're okay. For some reason it doesn't. Oh, I think because there's a space, maybe.
Is it a space? Is that why?
It's not like, you know how like it makes the link blue? I guess because like the @Nostalgianomics isn't blue with the link. So it's just like a link to YouTube. Okay. That's what they're talking about.
Links you directly to it links directly to your channel when I type it in.
That's weird.
Here, maybe if I do this might be better. It now does.
Man, this dude, the stunted growth my channel's seen because of this. I don't think I can.
Dude, you could have been at 100K by now. I'm sorry.
I can forgive you right now, dude.
All right, I just updated the link. Let me know if it works now.
You said that fixed it.
That fixed it? Cool. All right, awesome.
There it is. We got it.
We did it. That's weird that it changed.
Now. Subs are going to go up faster than freaking Destin Rivals now.
Dude, it's official, Alex. You're about to go to 100K so fast.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm prepared. I want my plaque.
I want my plaque. That would be sick, dude. I'm holding you back. It's crazy.
Oh, no. Nero said, I'll see you later tonight for the rip and ship. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Rent free, dude.
I'm scared, dude. No.
That's so great. Oh my God. All right. I think we should probably end it at that. We've been going for so long at this point, but I feel like we had a overall good conversation. Definitely went off topic there, but we were asked the questions. We'll answer them.
As is tradition.
As is tradition. Wouldn't be like, yeah, right. All righty. Anything you want to say, Alex, before we get on out of here?
No, man. I mean, I guess next Monday will be the official day. Most stores, I guess, will be pre-selling it. So I guess we'll get a good idea of what's happening with Mega next week.
Yeah, I think next Monday will be a good stream to kind of get a real kind of understanding of how we think release day is going to be for Mega.
Dude, the chat today is the best, man.
Dude, are they going crazy?
I was just some of the stuff's making me laugh. I like
Are
it.
you
I like
streaming tonight with Alex, do you even watch football?
it. I mean, I used to, but now, I mean, I just do. I don't watch anything. Like,
I mean, are you a Chiefs fan, I assume?
well, I was a Rams fan, right? Like, obviously, back like when the Greatest Show on Turf was here with Warner and
Nice. What a
everyone. Like,
gentleman.
but then when the Rams went to LA, like, I mean, I guess like I'm a Chiefs fan by like proximity, but like I was never like a huge Chiefs fan. Like, it was cool living in Missouri now that we're winning all Super Bowls, but like, no, I'm not going to sit here and be like, I was always a Chiefs fan.
You know what my team is, right?
No.
Oh, I'm a Bears fan, dude.
Bears?
Yes, dude. It's
Yeah,
rough.
I mean, I was always Rams till they left us.
It's rough. I've been a Bears fan since I was 6, dude. It's not great.
It's not great.
It's not great, dude. It's not great. It's rough.
Hey, it's better than the Jets.
Honestly, though, like, yeah, probably. I mean, we at least have hope. Like, people are jumping the gun so quick. Ben Johnson just came in, and it takes time for a culture, but also at the same time, man, like, I don't know. It's one of those things where you just been so let down by your organization for so long. You just kind of like you're numb to it at this point.
Yeah, that's how
Like,
it gets.
it's just, dude, imagine being a Browns fan. That's tough.
Dude, I grew up, playing hockey, obviously, and it took my entire life almost for the Blues to finally win a Stanley Cup not too long ago. That was a rough to be a fan of for the longest time.
Yeah. See,
you just got to put in your time, dude. Eventually, it'll come.
See, that's how I look at it. I'm like, at least as an organization, we have a Super Bowl. But like, dude, Bills fans, Bengals fans, like, you guys, you're doing good now, but I would love how do I want to say this? I would love a mix up in the Super Bowl this year. Feels like we just keep getting sequels. Like, 2 years of Niners Chiefs and 2 years of Eagles Chiefs just sucks. Like,
what happened was we traded the Patriots for the Chiefs. It was always Patriots. Now it's always Chiefs.
I know. I'm just ready for, like, honestly, I loved the Rams Bengals. Those were 2 teams I was happy to root for. Because Joe Burrow, I'm a huge fan of Joe Burrow, one of my favorite quarterbacks right now, versus, Sean McVay, who I'm a huge fan of as a coach. I really love Aaron Donald as a defensive player. I love Stafford. I think he's been one of the most underrated players forever, and getting a ring for him was something I was super stoked for. Like, that's a game where you know what? Everyone wins in my book. I would be happy, obviously, if either team won. But, like, when you have to say, oh my God, do I want Eagles fans like doing what Eagles fans do best, or do I got to hear the freaking Chiefs one more time? Like, oh my God, dude, just it's
good times. No, eventually maybe I'll be able to watch sports and like keep up with it again. Like, I'm just I'm working too much these days,
Yeah, man, it should be an interesting one tonight. You got the Chargers playing. So, but yeah, I like football. So maybe we'll have to get you into dude, we should make a fantasy football league for Pokemon content creators. That's what we got.
I used to do it on was it DraftKings or FanDuel, one of those years ago.
No, but like a fantasy football league.
Oh, like just between me and like us or here on the stream.
I'm saying, I think it'd be cool if we did like a Pokemon fantasy football league. I think that'd be cool.
How does that work?
Like, Pokemon content creators that we know.
Oh, okay.
Also sports fans.
Yeah.
I think that'd be cool. I don't know. It's just a thought. I mean, we're riffing at this point. We're so past far stream. We're in the after hours of the stream, guys.
Yeah, Nero.
This is a conversation we would have after stream, but we're just doing it live for you guys at this point.
By the way, Nero, yes. Alex working too hard. If only Gen Z did the same. Yes. If only.
You got me, dude.
If only.
I'm just lazy, man. Here, real quick. real quick.
Oh my God, dude.
All right, we'll get on and out of here, guys. Have a good one. We'll see y'all next Monday. Peace.